Ohio, or good morning. I got both my hoses. This one is from Koblenz. So the first thing I noticed is the connector is a little bit longer. It has like a receiver part there you can push in. This may or may not work. So it doesn't go all the way in. So the question is, will the suction work properly? I think that worked pretty well. It can't go all the way in because when you look inside there's kind of a plastic kind of curves in like this, so it doesn't let it fit all the way in. But it can get pretty far in there. And then my next concern was, would I feel any suction around here? Like there's a gap. Because if I take this out, I can feel suction there. Plug that in. I feel like a very small amount, very minute. So I guess it's just a matter of, do I want to settle for it at $15, or do I want to just go ahead and open up a $27 exact fit and then send this one back? I think for financial reasons, I'll just go ahead and stick with the $15 one. I think that it will be sufficient and work for what I need it for. And I'll send the $27 one back. But I hope we learned something together. Yeah, maybe? No? I don't know. All right, next up, I have got a leg in this tall, long box here, and I'm going to replace the broken leg on Tania's Canopy. All right, so this should be a replacement leg for Tania's Canopy. It's not an exact match, but other people were stating in the reviews and the question and answers that they were using it for the various different types of easy up canopies. Looks really close. So hopefully this will work. So I figured you guys might like to see a rebuild of what happens when a leg goes bad. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. I get a little frustrated, the microphone I'm using. It has a little fuzzy thing on it to keep the wind out, and it just keeps falling off. So hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I'll set this to the side and go get the canopy. The whole canopy is a bit heavy, so I'm a little out of breath. Just double checking stuff here before I totally take this apart. Whew, I don't know if this is gonna work. These are considerably different in size. This leg is several millimeters smaller. And its total deployment size is barely comparable with the other one. Uh-oh. Dang it. Tania's not going to be happy if we can't make this work. I mean, if I call it quits before we get too far into this, then at least we can send this back and hopefully get our $36 back. I think the critical thing would be this part right here. If that's too small, and if this is too small, it's going to be a no-go. So that's in the distance right there. That's all important. There's even a completely different number of arm slots here. Yep, I think I'm gonna have to call this. It's not the right size. I'm gonna go get Tania. All right. Tania doesn't have a microphone on her, so nobody's gonna be able to hear her. That's okay though. So we definitely have to send that one leg back. So this would be 64 inches collapsed. Can you take notes? Or I can take notes. The leg is approximately 1 1/8, no, 1 3/16. I guess I should fully extend it and see how long it is when it's all the way out. 95 inches. Wow, that's tall. 95 inches fully extended. I wonder if we were to call Easy Up, if there would be like a representative that could help us. Or, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to get this replaced before we leave. Do you want to take it with us and then just keep trying to fix it while we're on the road? Okay. That's a yes. So I'm going to pack it up as is, pack up the leg, and why don't you start a return? You find your order in Amazon, start a return on it. I'll get it repacked up. Not everything always works out as planned. Yeah, not everything always works out exactly how you want it to, that's for sure. But since Tania bought this, it's her money, it's for her art studio on the road. I definitely wanted to leave the option in her court. You know, we were going to try to take it anyway, so we can still take it broken, continue to try to find a replacement part while we travel. And I've always got several toolboxes with me, and I can keep on trying to fix it while I'm on the road. It's a nice canopy. It was $200 at Sam's Club, Easy Up. It's intended to be used for commercial purposes. It looks a little muddy because of when it would fall over and everything and rain, it got muddy. Okay. Here we go. So that's perfect. We can just take that. Tania will process the return, and then we can just drop it off UPS store. Same time I'm going to be dropping off a hose, that Stanley hose for the vacuum. So now comes probably what would be the harder part. Packing this in its to-go case. I'll put you on pause while I go get that. It's funny what you find in campground sometimes. Literally just found this guy. Just laying over here on the ground. Poor fireman, lost his legs. But let's see if we can't get him to emergency care. I'm guessing that I would want to have the feet. Yeah, the feet go in last, so I should take this and start at the top of the canopy, work my way down, so that way when I'm ready to deploy, I can unzip it, expose it to the feet being there, and literally lift the bag up. So let's take all these side panels out. Now the side panels might actually be something we choose to leave behind. Once again, I'll have to leave that up to Tania, but it sure would be a lot easier to pack this thing without all the side panels. There are some side pockets and whatnot. I wonder if you can even hear me talking when I do this. Something you gotta watch for on the rules when you go to an RV park. Some of them will have rules like no spikes in the ground. You might have buried cable and everything. They don't want you to cut everybody's power. Okay, so I think we've got the spikes are in here. Let me just take those out for now. I never did figure out what this pole was for. It's just a solid black pole with grooves on each end. And like some 9-inch nails. They don't even look like your usual tent camping spikes. I think if I hang it off the front here, I'm gonna back you up. So if I hang this off the front of the picnic table, I'll expose more of what I need to cram in there. So I did a video on our other YouTube channel about how I roll up a sleeping bag and put it in a bag. Also did videos on how I would bag our chairs. And I was surprised by the amount of people that said, "You already bagged that stuff?" I was trying to recall working on something like this in the past, and I think if I stand it up and work it down from the top, I'll have more luck. Part of the problem is keeping the bag straight at the top. Yeah, it's going down a lot better that way. So then I think the other factor is going to be, if we're going to take side panels with us, they need to somehow be crammed in with the legs down there. All right. Look at that, the difference that made. So even though it's all in there, and this is pulled about as tight as possible, the zipper's still a little tight. This is where I get frustrated. I've had a lot of tents over the years, and when they make this so there's no play, there's no give, and then your stuff that you have just breaks. They don't plan for usability. It's like somebody, I know how to make something, but I've never used it in my life. Maybe we need somebody that's used it in their lives to help make this stuff. Look at that. Can you see that? This little ring right here, because I used it to pull the zipper up and it just destroyed that little ring. Not sure how well you can see this. Using pliers to go through the zipper just to try to close it. Having rants on videos. If anybody actually listened to me, we could make the world a better place. Alright, so that's in there. That is tight as can be. And can you see all the panels? None of them are in there. None. I'll try to cram some in here. There's no way I can get all those panels in there. You know what, I'm just going to ask Tania if we even want to bring the panels, because what we discovered was having the panels up when the wind or anything would come up, it kind of seemed to make it worse. So maybe we'll just leave the panels here. I have to go ask the boss. All right, Tania says she is okay with keeping just well, she said she was okay with no panels. I think that this pocket right here on the side has plenty of space. I think I can get at least 2 of these panels crammed in there. The difficult thing is figuring out which ones, because they're not all the same. So I need to take a minute to figure out which panels we're going to take. All right, who thinks this zipper will self-destruct as well? Who can hear me because it's windy out? See, it's a little easier because there's no metal framework in here, so I can just press this down. All right, so that's 2 side panels plus the legs. I feel like I could shove stuff in between the legs if I tried, but that means I have to reopen the zipper. What do you think? Should I try doing that for Tania? I do love that woman. Interestingly enough, just opening just the one side, it's not too difficult. But I bet you though, if I started shoving stuff in there on the sidewall like this, even though there's some play, it would make the zipper harder to close. So what I'm wondering is, do I have enough space between the poles? Like, I think I could shove something down there between the feet. This one right here is kind of like a half panel, which allows for like a door on one side. See if I can't shove that in there. Really having flashbacks to our tent camping days. When we used to tent camp all the time, it would take me about 3 hours to set up and about 3 hours to tear everything down. We had a 10-person instant up tent. Don't let that instant up part fool you. The actual erecting of the tent was fast, but the stakes was slower. A lot of parts of that was slower. Okay, so I think that'll work. Let's see if I can get something in the side right there. Yeah, so when we would tent camp, I had cots and a single cot for myself, a heavier duty one. Tania had a slightly smaller cot, since she is smaller than me. And then, oh wow, I shoved that way back in there.
For the girls, we had one of those bunk bed cots. That was so cool. But it was all time consuming to set it up and take it down. Sometimes that's part of what makes this kind of stuff harder. When you're standing up and bending over, makes it a little bit more difficult. I can sit down, not wear out my back as much. Then maybe I can do a better job. This is the biggest turkey I've ever stuffed. Okay, I got all the panels in there. Now the real question is, will the zipper reclose? Because I think I added a level of difficulty to it. It may not want to come closed. I may reach a point where the zipper itself may actually self-destruct. We'll see. Well, so far, so good. It is a pretty solid, the zipper is thick. It's not a cheap zipper. The only thing that was cheap was the little metal ring holding the little string through there. Okay, where this was easier before, this just became much more difficult. Need a little bit more squishing on the side there. I guess the next question too is, does it absolutely need to be 100% zipped all the way? Yes. Okay, so tonight, wow, look at that bulge going over the side. It's pregnant. It's gonna give birth to a 4-person tent. So I want to put this into the pass-through storage, but the pass-through storage is still a little bit of a mess. After I cleaned out our shower drain trap the other day, I did not put that panel back on. So I'm gonna go put that back on there right now. So we are just going through pass-through storage and just kind of picking through what do we want to keep, and what do we want to go to storage, and what do we want to throw away. So we don't need to talk a whole lot. I'll probably do this on fast motion. My baby. Not my baby. Alright, so it's all the way up here to the front. The pregnant part is kind of causing a bit of a gap on that side. Let's go look at it from the other side. So normally I had containers with like spray cans in it, some various tools. I would have my jacks and jack stand in there. All that stuff's gonna have to find a new home. So usually I would put my red toolbox right here. This toolbox went back a little ways. Tania's bins should still fit crossways there. I'll go get a bin real quick and put it there just to make sure it works. So that right there is where this bin normally would go, and I can stack 4 of these here all the way up without causing a problem with these pipes. You just have to be gentle when the last one goes in with those pipes. Now this last season I carried our heated hose in a box right there, and I'm not going to do that. So this does free up a little space right there. That might be where I put the jacks and the jack stands, or I could potentially, I could go like that, because I would rather have jacks and jack stands closer, easier to access in the case we have a flat tire. I still need to build our rolling shelf here from IKEA. We got it because we don't plan to go down there by the IKEA again, but I would like to build it before we leave. I'm thinking I don't want to take the herder. The heater. I think I don't want to take the heater. I am a little worried. It got wet and wasn't functioning properly, and now it just fell flat on its face. I'm really worried about this poor thing. I love this thing. I love you. I'm so sorry, heater. I love you so much. You're my favorite heater. We've been through so much together. Alright, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up today's episode. Oh, my bed's a mess. Tania has been going through storage stuff up top up here, just kind of taking it down. And just, you know, going through it. Trying to see what do we really need? What can we get rid of? How can we put the RV on a diet so that it weighs less as we're towing it up to the Northeast, to the New England states. So just got to get this stuff done. Today didn't work out as planned, but honestly, does any day ever work out exactly as planned? Not necessarily, but that's all right. We made some headway. We got closer to where we need to be so that we can hit the road again. So we're going to end this day and we will pick up tomorrow. Remind you, life happens. Don't let it stop you. Stay fresh, cheese bags.